Lumbering, unwieldy, and awkward party trick, these were my initial concerns. Though after spending the last 336 hours, well, maybe about 360 by the time that you're watching this with the Galaxy Fold 4, all of those concerns and worries began to melt away just as well as the 7.6-inch display melt away into the crisp aluminum frame. As the clock ticked down and the hours passed by, I became immersed in this folding experience, and I realized that if you stay open to the bold and new, you may just find the life companion that you've been looking for. Hey there everybody, welcome back to DAV Tech. It is awesome to see all of you guys here again. If you are new to the channel, my name is Dave and I do tech reviews here, and I've been living every single day of my life these last 2 weeks with the Galaxy Z Fold 4, and it's been an experience. Now, initially going into a foldable lineup, there were a lot of apprehensions and concerns that I had about something in this form factor could not only effectively, but also practically weave its way into my lifestyle in the ways that I would need it to. And so today, hopefully I can show you guys the ins and outs, the ups and downs, and hopefully paint a picture for you about how something like this could fit into your lifestyle and perhaps the way that it's fit into mine. Let's get started. Now, one of the initial concerns that I had about a foldable device was durability. There's a lot of moving parts in this, and the most important moving part being right smack dab down in the center of the device. And so my concern was opening and closing this throughout my day would cause a lot of more additional wear and tear. There's kind of been like device usage anxiety here, but I can say that the hinge feels incredibly premium. There's almost this sort of resistance when you're opening and closing it, not one that makes it feel like the device is fighting you, but one that sort of reassures you that it's going to stand the test of time. It's been really impressive in that way. And in terms of weight, Samsung's did a fantastic job. The device is slimmer, sleeker, the front screen's a little bit wider, and it fits really good in the hand, and it weighs less than its predecessor, the Z Fold 3. And so, funny story, my dad actually also just got his upgrade, got his Z Fold 4, and he and I had a similar thought in that this phone just sort of fits in your hand really well. Sometimes with some other devices, they've gotten very light over the last couple of years. That's not necessarily a negative, but it's notable that this phone has a sort of premium heft in the hand where when you're holding it, it doesn't feel like it's going to just slip out or fall out. It feels like it's kind of anchored into your hand in a very pleasing way. The narrow screen here actually lends to the usability I found in my own personal use circumstance, and also for my dad too. It's one of those things where the screen is wide enough to do everything that you need it to do, and you don't feel like you are being punished and are being forced to use the bigger display, but rather the bigger display is there for when you want it, not because you need it. And because of the narrow display, one-hand usability is fantastic on this device. And I think sometimes one thing that does get overlooked for the front display, because you have the massive inside screen, is that you actually can multitask on the front display here. Now, it's not going to give you the massive boost in productivity that the larger screen is going to, but honestly, there have been times in these last two and a half weeks that I've been using the phone, and I just use it like a normal phone and sometimes forget that I do have the inside display to use. And for me, I think that just kind of speaks to the usability of this front display. Then I pick up my Pixel 6 and I realize that like normal phones are much wider, but I haven't felt like the front display has been a hindrance. And then I remember, oh, I can make everything bigger. And then I make everything bigger on the front display, and I have like a nerd out session with myself because I remember that, and it's awesome. But if you're concerned about the front display, it's really useful for everyday use. You're not going to feel like you're hamstrung. And then of course you open up the device and you have that massive 7.6-inch AMOLED display. There's not a whole lot more than I can say than I said in my 24-hour review. It is crisp, it is vibrant, and man, it is smooth and responsive. Now I want to give you guys a really cool anecdotal use case experience that I had with the Fold 4. So I work as a therapist, and I had a client coming in for a session, but I forgot to print out the intake paperwork, and then when I went to go print them out, the printer was out of ink. And so, have no fear, booted up Adobe Acrobat on this, unfolded the phone, was able to slide it across the table to the client and have them sign off on everything with the S Pen on that massive display. The text is nice and legible, the lettering is crisp, you don't have to squint your eyes or zoom in really. It was a pocketable tablet that I was able to hand over and use for my own personal work life. And so that's something that I didn't nerd out about in session, but internally, I was super nerding out because that's super cool. If you're enjoying the video so far and looking forward to more tech reviews, tech content, Galaxy Fold 4 content like this, there's going to be a lot more coming to the channel. So if you'd like to continue kind of doing what you're doing right now in your bed or your couch or the chair that you're in, or standing up to, hashtag standing up supremacy, hitting the subscribe button is the best way to stay up to date with what I'm doing next, so you continue to lay down or sit down or stand up. And a thumbs up does go a long way to helping me out here on the channel. So anyway, back to your regularly scheduled video. Two also big things here for those of you at home who are content creators and have a nice camera but don't have an external or additional display to see your camera. What's super cool is that, say for example, I have my Sony a7 III that I'm using right here, and the Fold is a fantastic device to open up that nice 7.6-inch display and to show myself what is actually happening on the camera. Can't overstate just how awesome that is for content creators that don't want to go out and get an external display. Your phone now can do that for you. Of course, you have the big display, you have flex mode, and one of the most common things I've seen is that you split the phone like right at about that 90-degree angle, and then you have the video playing at the top. You have comments at the bottom where you can scroll through other videos at the bottom. My personal, super nerdy, but shameless favorite use for the flex mode is playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, where I can set the phone down, split it up to that 90-degree angle, play on my side of my field during the duel, and then have the screen up so I can see what's happening on the other side of the duel. So I don't have to actually hold my phone up in the air while I'm dueling someone. I can have it on a table like this, make my moves, they make their moves. It almost feels like you're playing Battleship, but with Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Yeah, it's been cool. Now, one of the things I did not go into this phone really like thinking to pay attention to, but that really stood out to me in everyday usage, the haptics on this thing are great. For those of you who are at home and are like just opening up your Fold 4 or really want to feel how good the haptics are, they're great for like typing and stuff like that. Go to the clock app, go to the alarms and like sift and scroll through the hours, minutes, and seconds, and you're really gonna feel how good the haptics feel on this phone. Very small thing, but it really adds to the premium feel of the experience. Now on this device, you have a top and firing bottom speaker, and the speakers on this are incredibly powerful, they're crisp, you get a lot of sound detail in the highs and lows on this device. They did an amazing job here. Now it's good to note that if you're going to be gaming, you're going to want to hold the camera portion in your hands here and let the actual top screen be up, so that way you're not blocking the speakers. Usually when I was coming out of graduate school and even now working as a therapist, I'm always trying to make sure that I'm staying up to date with current information, and so I would listen to a lot of podcasts by psychiatrists and therapists about different therapies, orientations, diagnoses, and things like that. And so if I'm in the shower, oftentimes I will put a podcast on so that way I can learn while I'm showering. I know. But sometimes on the Pixel 6 Pro, even though they improved the quality of those speakers a ton, the actual peak of the volume wasn't as loud as I would have liked it to be. Here, I can have this on outside of the shower listening to a podcast, and I can hear everything clearly. So the actual ceiling on the volume on this device, they did a great job with. And man, using this screen for productivity and multitasking has been an absolute blast. My personal favorite, again, being a therapist, having to constantly do research, stay up to date on the latest theoretical orientations, the best execution of those theoretical orientations and standpoints for different disorders and diagnoses. I like to have, say, YouTube open and listen to, say, MedCircle, which is a really good psych resource for those of you who are interested in something like that. And I can be listening about dialectical behavioral therapy while also having my Google Notes open in a third window, typing up my notes there, and also have my text open on, say, Telegram or my Messages app, so that way I can text some friends while also taking notes, while also trying to fill this brain up so I can be competent and hopefully good at my job. And typically this is something that I would do on, say, my computer, but it can't be understated just how nice it is to have this portable form factor where I can lay down in my bed or lay down on the side, have this up in the air, and it's comfortable to use. It's not a heavy device, and I can still do what I need to do in a more, I guess saying enjoyable is largely subjective, but from my viewpoint, it makes life a lot more convenient. and that's something that I've really appreciated about this device. Accessing all of those different multitasking functions on this device is incredibly accessible. Samsung's really packed a lot of options into this device for accessing your multitasking. I have a link right up here for you guys if you haven't seen it already, of the 14 top hidden features that I found in my time using the phone that has really enhanced my overall user experience. You know, Samsung sometimes is kind of roasted, and oftentimes rightfully so in the past, for their software not quite being up to snuff, but man, can I tell you that multitasking on this is effortless. You don't feel the phone chugging or lagging or having a hard time doing the things that you're asking it to do. Now, the Snapdragon Gen 8 Plus 1 chip might be doing all of the heavy lifting and there's not a lot of optimization here, but I honestly want to give Samsung some credit here because opening and closing applications, sifting back and forth between applications, the animation sets that are baked into the operating software here, everything is very smooth, very pleasant, and when you pair that with the 120 Hz display, you get an awesome user experience on a day-to-day basis. Huge kudos. The games, and again, I mentioned in my 24-hour review, man, gaming is just such a unique experience on this device. You can play things on the front display, but you crack open this bad boy. It actually would almost be criminal to not crack open this bad boy and play a game on it. Punishing Gray Raven has been awesome. Pokemon Legends, fantastic. I've also been getting into Lord of Heroes, and that on this display is beautiful. Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel's fantastic, as I mentioned with the flex mode. There's not a lot more that I can say, honestly. If you love gaming, and you like foldable devices, yeah. Now, I've been impressed by the cameras on the Galaxy Fold 4, but if you guys have seen some of my other reviews in the past, it's okay if you haven't, I've been gone for a while. You'll know that typically I like to just show you guys the footage, the pictures, and the videos first so you can develop your own opinion, and then I'll kind of talk about them after, so enjoy. So it is 89 degrees today, quite sunny. Just went for a 2-mile run, was playing a YouTube video for a podcast for the Eagles because I'm a nerd. And also had Pokemon Go on during my run so I could hatch some eggs and catch some Pokemon along the way. The phone hasn't overheated. It's not hot. It hasn't given me any sort of warning. So that was on the front display. This one I'm using the phone's primary camera with the flip display so I can actually see myself, just so you guys have a comparison of what that looks like. It is hot. I'm kind of overheating, but the phone isn't. Number one, the primary camera on this phone is really good. You get a lot of really good detail, nice background blur on your images. The color science here is really pleasing to the eye. The telephoto lens up to the 3 times is really good. I've tried zooming in with different results depending on sort of like the lighting of the day, but those are pretty solid. And the wide angle camera does afford you some pretty good image quality as well. Somewhere I haven't been too impressed with this camera so far in these last few weeks has been the nighttime photography. I think this is something I've been spoiled with coming from the Pixel 6 Pro that takes amazing nighttime cameras, and the zoom on that is stellar as well. On this phone, the nighttime footage that I've tried to take, holding it very still, it just doesn't quite render nighttime images as good. It just doesn't. It's not the strong suit of the device. If you made it to this point in the video, give me a hashtag horse emoji again. Some of you guys might remember that from the video a few weeks ago. Look at that little guy, he's kind of hanging out with us. Anyway, thanks for stopping by and hanging out, guys. Again, if you want to continue hanging out with me here on the channel, hit the subscribe button, and the thumbs up does go a long way to helping me out here. I hope you guys have a fantastic remainder of your day, afternoon, and night, depending on the time it is that you are watching this, because time zones and also just time. And as always, peace, love, and adios. Bye.